Hello everybody and welcome to Good Morning Sri Lanka on MTV Sports on a Wednesday morning. And we've actually got into the 8th day of 2014, so it's still pretty early this year, and we here in Good Morning Sri Lanka, we thought that it's a good time to actually talk about self-improvement. And to do that, I am co-hosted by Amaya in the studio. Amaya, say hi.
Hello, good morning everybody. It's lovely to be here with you on a Wednesday morning as well.
And Amaya, it has been 8 days into the year, and I know you've had a New Year resolution where you said that you are not going to eat any sweets, and I know you've already broken that. And
I have already broken that, but I got in a bit more exercise, so I'm trying to compensate with the sweets and the exercise. It's all about balance. Life is all about balance, and I think the guest we have on the show today might also agree with me. I'll ask him later on in the show as well. Now he, Wassam, is someone who actually needs no introduction. Many people out there who are viewers may be knowing him definitely, but let me just quote to you something that someone else has said about him, and I'll try to quote this verbatim. Dr. Priyanka De Souza has assisted thousands as a sports physician and galvanized millions through his best-selling books, TV programs and public speaking. And this was Sir Arthur C.
Wait for it. You ruined it. You ruined it. I was going to give you a drum roll, Amaya.
Okay, sorry, do it again. Whoa. The drum roll.
Dun, 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 dun.
Sir Arthur C. Clarke, who said this about Dr. Priyanka De Souza, and we have him here in the studio with us today. He is a best-selling author, a sports physician, as well as a self-help guru. Good morning, Doctor. Welcome to the show.
Welcome.
Lovely to have you here with us this morning.
Yeah.
Good morning, Doctor. It's really nice to have you.
Yeah, fantastic.
Lovely to have you. How do you usually start off your day, Doctor? When you're not on a TV program.
Oh,
yeah.
I rise early. That has been my way, and I feel comfortable working in the morning. So on mostly it's either if I were to meditate, I would do that. Then when I'm writing, I would do most of my writing or authoring in the morning. And then the day starts. But I hope you are referring to the early morning segment,
yes,
is it?
Yes, usually at 7:15 in the morning, what you'll be doing.
I'm referring to something that starts from around 4:30 onwards.
Wow.
Okay.
So we have a gentleman who rises extremely early, so getting here for the show is a piece of cake for him.
But you're a best-selling author. You have over 3 million copies of your books in print at the moment, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. And that itself is a great achievement.
Definitely. And I think you're one of the most acclaimed authors for self-improvement here in Sri Lanka especially. But let's rewind and we'll focus this show today about Dr. Priyanka De Souza as a person and how you started out, especially. I'm sure many of our viewers would love to know that as well. So let's talk about your beginnings, Doctor. Where were you born, and where was your early life?
Right. I was born in Brazil.
In Brazil?
Brazil, yeah.
Wow.
I came to Sri Lanka at the age of 4, and I entered Anand College. Something interesting happened when I came to Sri Lanka. I knew only Portuguese and English, and when I entered Anand College, when I entered, I barely knew a few words of English, and the record says that I won the class prize in Sinhala in the third term, mind you, in the third term.
So you entered in the first term at the beginning of the year, and then by the third term you had
the prize in Sinhala, right?
So, Doctor, this was the first year you entered college.
Yes,
the first year you entered college. On the third term, you won the best prize.
I will tell you because this I remembered many years later when I wrote the book Express Learning, and it suddenly clicked that in fact this happened to me, but the crazy thing was that the hype of it would have lasted maybe a few weeks. I mean, this boy did this, etc. And then it took at least 30 years for me to realize that this strange potential lies in a human being. So maybe we will get into that later.
Yeah, because you have used the methods that you've described in your books, such as Express Learning, and these books are now in sale on sale as well. But Unknowingly, you have used the same sort of methods when you entered grade 4, when you came back to Sri Lanka.
Grade 1.
Grade 1? You were 4 years old?
4 years old.
4 years
That's
old.
amazing.
He would have
That's
entered
so
school when he was about 6 or 7 now.
Yeah, I think 5.5 at that time.
Wow, that's a
So
great.
Then you entered Ananda College and began your school life on a very good note.
And since I was a good student, I ended up doing my O levels well and then A levels. And since my results were good, I didn't choose during those era, during my days, it was either you become an engineer or a doctor.
So what about lawyer at that time?
If you were very good and you had the results, it was either medicine or you go into math or bio, and if you go into bio, then it was either
medicine or law.
It was medicine, and then if not law. So by default, I think I became a doctor. And
if you hadn't become a doctor, what did you really want to become when you were younger? Did you have a passion to be something else?
I would have become an architect.
Really, you think so?
But I think I even at that time I had this crazy feeling that I need to find information or things that would help human beings and give it via speeches and also through books. So I had that somewhere lingering.
Okay, I have to ask you this. Now, during the time you finished your schooling and when you were getting into medicine, at this point, had you written any books already?
No, nothing.
So it started way later?
It started later. It started after graduating as a doctor, and a few years into, I studied a field called NLP, Neuro-Linguistic Programming. That was a behavioral science. And then I studied a field called accelerated learning or express learning. The art of learning very fast, very easy, and very joyfully. And
joyfully being another keyword there.
And also, since I was in sports medicine, because after becoming a doctor, I asked, now what? Because standard, and then I loved sport. I am a doctor, so both clicked, and I thought I'll venture into sports medicine. And I was fortunate to get into the FIFA medical panel, and I was one of the youngest Asians to be appointed as a FIFA medical officer. I got the opportunity to travel all over the world, especially as a doping control coordinator. And during one of my stints or missions, I remember it was at the Alain Hilton. When I was staying, I suddenly realized that what I know in the field of mind and mind improvement would be limited to those who have money, and those who
because that program was accessible to you as well, because you were able to pay that amount that they asked for.
I was able to pay, and then what I did also, the charges were
the same amount.
quite high, because and I enjoyed it, and I was paid well, and that is how it happened. And I thought that it was not a very nice idea. Then I asked myself, then how can I make this available at low cost to the mass? And then I thought, suddenly the idea clicked. Okay, write a book. Then what? Then I knew Sri Lankans are crazy about studying and learning, and I had benefited through this knowledge, and I thought, why not share this with the mass? And I wrote my first book in Sinhala, which was Adivegi Iganuma. It became an instant seller. I was featured on almost all in the media, the electronic, the print, TV, etc. And since then I've gone on to write 19 books. And that's how that career and based on my learnings, I've shared it with millions around the world by speaking.
And Amaya, we've got the book here in English with us, but unfortunately we need to go in for a short commercial break. But when we do come back, I'm going to ask the doctor a few questions about this book, because as soon as I saw the headline, I was quite
taken up with it, because anyone likes anything express, right? And express learning is just something that's a bonus. So let's talk more to Dr. Priyanka D'Souza right after we come back from this short commercial break.
Hello everybody, and welcome back to the second segment of this morning's show, Good Morning Sri Lanka, on MTV Sports with me, Vasam, and Amaya, and we've got Dr. Priyanka D'Souza on the show with us. Now, as we did introduce you to him earlier, he is a practicing medical doctor, sports physician. He is a best-selling author, also quoted by Arthur C. Clarke, as Amaya put it nicely in the previous segment, with over 3 million copies in print. He's a motivational speaker as well as an author, as I just said a little while ago. And of course, just before we finished the first segment, we were talking about this book, which is Express Learning, and it's apparently a mechanism which Dr. Priyanka has come up with in terms of getting people to learn a lot faster. So I'm going to ask Doctor, tell us a little more about Express Learning, this book which I am holding on my hand right now.
Vasam, Express Learning is how to learn very fast, very easy and very joyfully. Very fast, very easy, very joyfully. Now that is totally like the opposite of the commonly held belief that learning happens slowly, that it is difficult, and there is a substantial amount
of blood, sweat and tears to learn something.
Yes, you can do it that way, and that is how a majority of students learn around the world. But it is possible. There are ways, and hundreds of thousands of students who fortunate students and people who learn these techniques and ways do learn very fast, very easy, very joyfully.
Doctor, I'm extremely curious. Doctor, please give us an example from this book.
Now, say an average Sri Lankan student would students' reading speed could be around 2 to 400, say around 3 to 400 words per minute. By practicing a very simple method, simply by using your finger as a guide to read and running it under the words, you can easily, practicing this for 5 to 10 minutes, say half an hour, you can easily come close to doubling your reading speed.
Wow.
It's amazing.
So from 3 to 400 words to about 800 words.
Yes. But from about 200 to 400 or 500, I think it's around 200, not 400. It's around 200, 180, 200 range to around 400. Now the practical benefit is this. Imagine a student or anyone who spends 1 hour reading, or say 2 hours reading, which happens on average. He could do the same in 1 hour. So he has 1 hour to either read more or go and have fun.
Because you've done the work that you want to do in 2 hours within 1 hour, and just by keeping your finger below the line and just going along
and running. Because if you read without a guide, it could be a finger, it could be a pen, the eye jumps up and down, and your reading speed it depends on the rate the eye moves over the words.
So
simple.
The brain can process it that fast. I mean, even faster maybe.
Yeah, and there are a few myths that are ingrained. One is that reading is difficult. Second is that you need to read slow to retain. So
yes, exactly. I mean, I sort of thought that if you read slowly and you read it several times, then you retain it a bit more.
Not so.
No, that's a myth.
If you believe, and if you believe that it is so, then yes, it will be. What you believe it becomes reality.
So there is a huge psychological aspect to this.
Exactly.
Also, Doctor, I'm going to take this same example, take it away from learning, and say take it in terms of reading a novel. A lot of people read not just for learning, they read for pleasure. And of course there are a lot of people who are really eager to finish their books really fast because they want to know what happens at the end of the plot. Can you still use this method and cherish that same, that passion? Can you keep that passion by using this method, or will they just ruin it in the process?
Vasam, one of the best things to do when you hold a book is to ask yourself, what is the purpose of my reading this book? Now if it is for pleasure,